Okay, so we're going to learn how to play a Phrygian scale in the key of E minor Phrygian. So somebody says, well, let's play in E minor. You say, well, what do you want? E minor Phrygian? It's also the second of the key of D, so E minor Dorian. It's also the sixth of the key of G. You want to play E minor Aeolian, which would be the key of G. Okay, so let's say we want to play E minor Phrygian. Alright, so it would be the third in the key of C. Now, if we just replace that 3 with a root and count up, we'll be okay. But we have to follow the diatonic of the original parent key. So we're going to play our regular diatonic C box scale, which goes 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4, 5. But now we're going to substitute for that 3. We're going to start the count at root, because we want to play in the key of E minor Phrygian. So it goes root, but we're going to follow that same scale I just played. So we're going to follow these same shapes here as we go up. So it's going to be root 2, 3. Okay, then 4, 5, 6, 7, root. Here's root. Root is green, it's E. Okay, that's root. So here's our E down here. That's how we're going to do it. Root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3. This red G is the third of the Phrygian scale. So that's the substitution method. Okay, so let's try another one. So, and we'll do one more. We don't want to do too many of these because I have to also show you about any key, not just about the keys that fit into the fret nut there. Okay, because we want those keys to have a scale value on the fret nut here, or over here where you are. There's your third. That's E, A, D, G, B, and E again in the key of C. Okay, so let's look at another one. Suppose we want to play, we're on the long patterns still, but we're going to employ the short patterns. Here they are, the short patterns to save the day for us. Okay, so we'll do one more long pattern first. Let's say someone says, we want to play in G mixolydian. I want to play in G mixolydian. Okay, we'll play in G mixolydian. So what do? First of all, look at the A5, 5, 6, 7, because the mixolydian is the 5th scale degree. So in the key of C, the mixolydian would be 5, 6, 7 here, right? We would play it from up here, but let's say we want to do it down here where your open E is. So what is E the 5th of? It's the 5th of the key of A. Okay, so I said we were going to play in what? G mixolydian. Okay, G mixolydian would be up here. Okay, so we would go 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root. Okay, that would be your mixolydian C. If we want to play in the key of that G, we could start the root there, but we have to count up. So now the 5, 6, 7 goes right over to root 2, 3 again, right? 5, 6, 7 goes to root 2, 3, goes to 4, 5, 6, C, 4, 5, 6, all that stuff. So let's just look at this pattern stack. We'll start on 5, we'll go 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and all that stuff. But now we're going to substitute, in that 5, we're going to substitute a root there. So now we're playing in the key of G mixolydian, and I'll show you how to do it for E. It's the same thing. So we're going to go root, but we're going to follow that Mixolydian scale. So it's going to a root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4, 5. Now look at, I'm stopping on a purple note there. That's a D. D is the fifth of G Mixolydian. So we just put a root there, but follow the same pattern and count up that pattern as we go along. 5, root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3. Okay, B is the third of the Mixolydian. So that's how you would play in that Mixolydian scale. Now looking down here using your C, say you want to do it open, what do? Okay, so you do the same thing. First of all, if you want to play in E Mixolydian open string, you do the same thing. So it would be root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4. So it'd be root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we can warp up 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4. Right there, A is the fourth of what? A is the fourth of the key of E. Alright, so that kind of worked. It was easier to see on the C Mixolydian there, in the key of G Mixolydian. But you can do it down here. Now this is getting to the crux of the discussion, right? And that is, what can we access from the fret nut? Let's face it, you could put your capo there and play the long pattern for that G Mixolydian. And this is where I'm giving from my heart. And that is, we have to look at the possibility of, we can get so many scales from the open chords, right? So what I thought, I'd think up some kind of randomness, play in any key or something like that. And it turns out, if somebody says, well, play in C sharp minor, well, you ask the person C sharp minor Dorian, C sharp minor Phrygian, or C sharp minor Aeolian. So they say, well, let's play in C sharp minor Aeolian. Okay, so C sharp minor is the sixth of E. Okay, that kind of thing. So that's the first thing you have to straighten out. And then we have to see how we're going to play it. So this is where your fret nut is, right here. Okay, here's where your E is there. We want to play in C sharp minor. Okay, so just looking at this, we'd have an E-shaped E, which would be the parent key. And then up here we'd have a C sharp minor. Okay, so we'd have a G sharp, a C sharp, and our E would be the third of C sharp minor. It's right there. Okay, so the root would be what? The root is going to be where the E is, because that's where C sharp is on your guitar, right? So we have where your guitar is tuned. Most guitars are tuned. We have the fret nut right here. It's like kind of a crooked one, so we'll draw it straight. See if I can get it straight. Alright, so we have right here. Alright, so that's where your fret nut is. We're going to play the E, and the C sharp minor is going to be something like. Okay, so what we want to do is play a C sharp in the key of C sharp minor Aeolian. And I do want to use the short patterns to do this. We could use the long pattern. So you simply take the sixth, because we're looking at the E box here. Okay, we're not looking at this stuff, because that doesn't exist. Right, so this is where your guitar is. Here's where your fret nut is. E becomes the open 7, right? E becomes the open 7. Now that's, I think, where I made a mistake there, because we want E as the root. Okay, so what I'm going to do is draw E as the root here, right here, and we want to get into add a cursor mode or something like that. So we're going to draw E as the root here. Let's get our line. Alright, E is going to be the root, and we don't have any of this stuff here. Okay. Now this is where your guitar is. So our little E is going to be the root, like that. That's the top of the E string shape. If we want to play in C sharp minor, Aeolian is the 6th of that root. So it's right there. But we want to use the long or the short patterns. Okay, so let's put that back, that fret nut there, and we'll just use it in case we want to go on the fly with the short patterns. So we'd simply replace the 6 with root, okay, in that case. So what does root become? Rather than start up there and just go root and cut into the pattern, we can start the pattern here. Root becomes the 3rd. Because if you're playing an Aeolian, root becomes the 3rd. Okay, it just does. The 3rd of the Aeolian, because it's a whole step and a half step. It's like minor 3rd from the 6th to the root. So root becomes the 3rd. So we're simply there going to play the same pattern, okay, but we're going to count 3 there. Alright, so we're in our situation here with the E. Root becomes the 3rd, but remember, we're going to play the same pattern here. So we're going to go 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, cut in, 7, root, 2, 3, 4, 5. What note did we end on? We ended on G sharp. Is G sharp the 5th of C sharp minor? I think so. So that's how that's done. Or we could